What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton has just leaked the detail that could completely change Scuderia Ferrari's season in Miami? And that it has nothing to do with what everyone is watching. Because while the paddock is obsessed with aerodynamics, Ferrari has been quietly working on something much more decisive. A weight reduction in the SF-26 that, according to what Hamilton has hinted at, could be the difference between continuing to chase or starting to dominate. The question is, to what extent can this change alter the real order of the grid at the Miami GP? What is happening within Ferrari before the Miami GP is not just another evolution in the calendar, it is the direct result of a completely unexpected situation that the team knew how to turn into an opportunity. And this is where everything that Lewis Hamilton has hinted at begins to take shape, because to understand the magnitude of this improvement in the SF-26, you must first understand how it got to this point. Ferrari had a very clear plan for the start of the season. Introduce a strong package in the first races to position itself in the fight from the beginning. But that plan was completely ruined. The cancellation of several Grands Prix in the Middle East not only altered the calendar, but gave the team something that normally does not exist in modern Formula One: time. Additional weeks of factory development, without the immediate pressure of racing, completely changed the SF-26 roadmap. And Ferrari didn't waste a second. What was originally going to be a progressive update turned into a massive accumulation of improvements. It is what has been internally called a package and a half, an evolution that not only combines new parts, but also restructures a large part of the car's concept. This is where the Hamilton leak begins to fit in, because within that package there is an element that changes everything: weight reduction. In today's Formula One, minimum car weight is a critical barrier. All teams strive to achieve this without compromising performance, but very few manage to go further and redistribute that weight efficiently. Ferrari, according to what emerges from this information, has not only managed to lighten the SF-26, but has optimized how and where that weight is eliminated. And that is key, because losing kilos in irrelevant areas is not the same as losing kilos in points that directly affect the center of gravity and the balance of the car. This is where Hamilton's experience begins to make a difference. We are not talking about a driver who simply feels that the car is going faster, but rather someone capable of identifying structural changes in the behavior of the car. When he suggests that this improvement may be decisive, what he is really saying is that the car now responds differently in key phases: braking, corner entry, and traction on exit. Furthermore, this change comes accompanied by on-track validation. Ferrari didn't wait for Miami to find out if it worked. They took the SF-26 to Monza on a filming day, where they were able to verify in real conditions that everything they had developed in the simulator and the wind tunnel had a direct correlation on the asphalt. This is not minor, because one of Ferrari's biggest historical problems has been precisely the lack of correlation between data and real performance. And this time, everything indicates that they were right. But the most important thing in all this is the competitive context. Ferrari came from a beginning of the stage with doubts, even with Hamilton's adaptation still in process after his first experiences with the team, where he recognized that fully understanding the car was not something immediate. However, this type of improvement completely changes that dynamic. A lighter car is not only faster, it is more predictable, more adaptable, and above all, more exploitable by high-level drivers. And this is where the scenario starts to get really interesting. Because if Ferrari has managed to combine this weight reduction with the rest of the aerodynamic and mechanical package, what arrives in Miami is not an evolution. It is practically a new version of the SF-26. A version that, according to what Hamilton has hinted at, could be the turning point they were waiting for. In today's Formula One, where all teams are extremely close to the regulatory limit, finding performance is no longer a matter of adding more downforce without consequences. Every improvement has a cost. More drag, more wear, worse efficiency. Therefore, reducing weight is one of the few areas where you can gain performance for free. And this is where Ferrari seems to have taken a step that not everyone has achieved. When a car loses weight, it not only accelerates better on a straight line. What really changes is its dynamic behavior. The car brakes in less distance, enters corners with more precision, and most importantly, preserves the tires better over long stints. The latter is absolutely key at a circuit like Miami, where thermal degradation can completely define race strategy. But there is an even deeper detail that many overlook: the distribution of that weight. Ferrari has not only lightened the SF-26, but according to what emerges from the analysis, it has optimized where that reduction occurs. This directly affects the center of gravity, and a lower center of gravity means a more stable, predictable car with greater ability to attack curves and technical areas without losing performance. This is where everything connects with what Hamilton has been feeling in the car. It is no coincidence that he, in the midst of the adaptation process, is the one who detects this change. Because when a driver of his level perceives that the car responds better in braking and traction, what he is actually pointing out is a structural improvement, not a superficial one. You are feeling a car that is more alive, more reactive, closer to the limit, but controllable. And this brings us to the real conflict of this act. Ferrari has not only improved, but could have found an advantage that breaks the current balance. Because while other teams continue to struggle with aerodynamic compromises or balance problems, Ferrari introduces an improvement that impacts all phases of the lap. Furthermore, this change does not come in isolation. It is part of that package and a half that has been talked about within the team, an accumulation of developments that turns the SF-26 into something much more evolved than expected for this point in the championship. And when you put multiple enhancements together with a lighter base, the effect isn't linear, it's exponential. The direct consequence of all this is disturbing for its rivals. Because if Ferrari has managed to correctly correlate their data, something that has historically cost them, and what has been validated on the track reflects what they expect, then Miami will not be a simple performance improvement. It will be a change in hierarchy. And here the great tension appears. Are we facing an improvement that will allow them to get closer? Or before the exact moment in which Ferrari stops chasing and begins to set the pace? Because if what Hamilton has leaked is only part of what they have really achieved, then the rest of the grid could be arriving in Miami completely blind to what is about to happen. And this is where everything converges, because what until now seemed like a powerful improvement is beginning to emerge as a possible breaking point in the season. What Lewis Hamilton has hinted at not only anticipates a leap in performance, but also raises a much deeper consequence. Ferrari could have found the key to unlocking the full potential of the SF-26 right at the most critical moment of the championship. If this package works as expected, Miami will not be just another race on the calendar, it will be the stage where the narrative changes. Because a lighter, better balanced and validated car on the track not only allows you to be faster in one lap, but also opens the door to something even more decisive: consistency. And in Formula One, consistency is what separates the contenders from the true title contenders. Here the strategic factor comes into play. A more weight-efficient SF-26 means less degradation, greater flexibility in stop windows, and above all, the ability to attack when others start to fall. This completely transforms the way Ferrari can approach the race. It is no longer about reacting to what others do, but about imposing the pace, forcing rivals to leave their comfort zone. But there is something even more important: the psychological impact. The moment one team introduces an improvement that really works, the rest of the team notices it almost immediately. And if Ferrari starts the Miami weekend showing superior performance from free practice, the pressure automatically transfers to the rest of the grid. Doubts appear, decisions are rushed, and that is where championships are won or lost. Hamilton knows it. That is why its leak is not accidental. It is the type of message that a pilot sends when he feels that he has in his hands a tool capable of making real differences. It's not just confidence, it's reading the situation. It is understanding that, for the first time in a long time, Ferrari is not reacting, it is anticipating. And then we come to the big question that defines this entire final act. What if this works even better than expected? Because if Ferrari has gotten the weight reduction right, if the correlation with the track is solid, and if the complete package really delivers what the internal data promises, then Miami could become the start of something much bigger. Not a specific victory, not an isolated weekend, but the beginning of a new dynamic in the season. What makes this whole scenario even more powerful is that we are not talking about an isolated improvement that depends on specific conditions or a specific circuit, but rather a technical base that can sustain performance in different contexts. And that's where Lewis Hamilton's leak makes even more sense, because it points directly to a structural change in the DNA of SF-26, not a simple temporary patch. Ferrari has built this package with a very clear logic: not only gain immediate performance, but create a more flexible platform for the rest of the season. Weight reduction is the central pillar, but what is truly important is what you can do from there. A lighter car opens up room to play with configurations that were previously limited, allows the mass distribution to be better adjusted depending on the circuit, and above all, gives freedom to engineers to push other areas without critical penalties. This means that the SF-26 will not only be faster in Miami, but could be better suited to different types of layout. On high-load circuits, they will be able to maximize grip without sacrificing efficiency as much. On low-resistance tracks, they will be able to exploit top speed without compromising stability. That is to say, Ferrari is not only looking for a specific improvement, it is building a more complete competitive tool. This connects directly to the driving style. A more stable and predictable car allows drivers like Hamilton to attack with more confidence, manage the tires better and extract performance even in changing conditions. And when you have a driver of that level feeling that the car responds exactly as he needs, the impact on the track is multiplied. In addition, there is another silent but determining element: the capacity for evolution. Having advanced so much development in this package, Ferrari not only arrives strong in Miami, but establishes a foundation on which to continue building. That is, this is not the end of a development phase, it is the beginning of a new one. And that's what really worries his rivals. Because while other teams continue to introduce improvements progressively, Ferrari could have taken a leap that allows them to set the pace of development in the coming races. And in a long championship, that is worth as much or more than a specific victory. Ultimately, the construction of this updated SF-26 does not solely revolve around being faster in Miami, but rather transforming the car into a more efficient, more adaptable platform with greater room for growth. And if what Hamilton has hinted at truly reflects what Ferrari has achieved, then we are not seeing a simple evolution. We are seeing the beginning of a new competitive phase for the Scuderia. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.